All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the show, and welcome back to another episode of Mental Health Monday. So, on today's episode, first off, I want to say, speaking about mental health, speaking about the way that you feel and addressing your emotions should not be considered weak. It shouldn't be looked at as a weak thing. I know, there's this stigma, I think, around talking about mental health and talking about the way you feel, and people kind of look down on it. Like, if you talk about the way that you feel, I feel like sometimes people can get kind of scared and they think that like you're thinking about bad things, maybe. Like, I know, like, on my Instagram, I use it, I'm pretty open about like the way that I feel on there. So like, if I'm not feeling great, like if I'm going through mental struggles, if I'm just feeling, the things that I'm feeling, and if I speak on it, like, people will sometimes hit me up. I don't want to like call those people out and say like, oh, I don't want you guys to like hit me up, because I appreciate it. Like, I appreciate the fact that you guys are like reaching out to me. So please don't stop reaching out to me. But I feel like it's just a natural tendency to, like, you see somebody talking about the way that they feel and you're like, oh man, like, what's going on? Like, is something wrong with them? Are they struggling? Like, are they asking for help? You know, especially with this, like, like, suicide rate has definitely increased in the near past, in the recent past. I've seen it all over the place, and it's very unfortunate. But I think that it could be related to the fact that, in my opinion, people don't talk about that stuff. Now, I know suicide it's a very serious matter, and it's a very sensitive matter. So I don't want to say anything that's gonna offend anybody. I don't mean to offend anybody. I just feel like, talking about your ideas and talking about the thoughts that go through your head, it shouldn't be like the monster. It shouldn't be so scary. It shouldn't be so hard to talk about the way that you feel. For me personally, I feel these things, like, I use my Instagram, and yeah, when I'm happy, when I'm feeling good, I definitely portray that. But I feel like most people, 99% of the people, like, that's all they post, right? Like, all you post is positive stuff, and all you post is like the good things that happen to you, which is cool. Like, I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm not, don't get me wrong. Like, it's your stuff. I'm just saying, from my perspective, the reason why I post the good and also the bad is because I think that it should be normalized. Like, we're not all always happy. Nobody I know is always happy, 100% of the time. We all have issues. We go through things, maybe some people more than others, but we still all go through stuff, and we should be able to talk about it without feeling like it's something wrong. Like, I deal with my issues, and I like to say them so that other people, if you're dealing with issues, maybe you see me say something about it and it makes you feel more comfortable to say something about it yourself. That's honestly why I put it out there. I don't put it out there to try and like scare anybody and make people think like, oh man, he needs help, like, I need to hit him up. Like, I don't mean that in any way. However, like I said, I do appreciate the support. So, when people hit me up and ask me how I'm doing, that's cool, man. I love it. I love it because I'll answer honestly, like, I'll answer honestly. Like, I most of the time I'm doing good. Like, that's another thing, is just because I recognize that my mind is trying to put me down and trying to win me over, does not mean that I've like accepted defeat. There have been times in my life where I've felt defeated, and I felt like my mind was just too powerful. But the majority of the time, like, I'm just facing what's ahead of me. I'm being realistic with what's ahead of me or what's going on inside of me. I'm just being realistic. Like, these thoughts are there, and I'm going to address them. I'm not going to be scared of them. I'm not going to try and hide them. I'm not going to try and, keep them locked in and never, face them. Because for me, that's what helps me the most, when I feel anxious, when I feel nervous, when I feel like, down, I like to think, okay, what's making me feel down? Like, if it's valid, if there's a reason why I'm feeling down, then it's important to talk about that. It's important to bring it up, because then you can address it, and you could say, okay, well, I'm feeling down because whatever, I just lost my job, or I applied for a job and I didn't get the job that I wanted, or I applied for whatever. I mean, you failed a class at school. Whatever it may be, you had an argument with your friend or your family or anything like that. Anything can cause these issues in your head, right? But it's important to notice what's the source, and is it valid? And what I mean by that is, if you're anxious about something, but there's no reason to be anxious, like everything's going fine, everything's going good, and you just can't find any reason, you just feel anxious. Well, at least if you address that, you can say, okay, look, I'm feeling anxious, but there's absolutely no reason why. There's no valid reason for me to feel anxious, so I can go ahead and stop that right now. Go for a jog, clear my mind, go start working on something that's going to distract me from those anxious thoughts. Find something positive, something different, or just something to just take your mind off of it. Go watch, sports are back, so if you're into sports, we got the basketball coming back, or basketball's back, baseball, whatever it may be for you. Maybe working out's always been the thing for me, because like just yesterday, right? So just yesterday, I've been in this mood for a while where like my body or my mind is not giving me any satisfaction. Like nothing that I do, I feel satisfied. Like everything that I was doing, it could be the way that, I was dressed, the way that like my hair was combed, the way that I talk to people, the way that I interact with people, everything. It just wasn't good enough. Everything that I did, my mind was like, oh, you could have done better than that. But not in a positive way, Sometimes I think positive like that. Like I always think about how I can do things better. But this time it was just like just putting me down. Like I just couldn't find a reason to be, happy or satisfied with anything that I did. So what I did was I started working out, and I decided I'm going to go really heavy. I'm going to see what weight I can lift. And it kind of worked. I was able to lift a lot more than what I expected, which made me feel like accomplished. It kind of forced that accomplishment, because there was no theory to it. It was just straightforward. Did I lift the weight? Was the weight heavy, right? There's a number to it. Was the weight heavy? It was heavier than what I did last week. Did I lift it, how many times did I lift it? I lifted it more times than I did last week at a lighter weight. So I was able to accomplish something that was difficult, and it was real. It was real. It was something I can put numbers to, right? Something that I can actually physically prove, like, okay, that was an accomplishment. And so that helped me out. Like after that, I felt better. It kind of like reset my mind, like told my mind, I guess, like, okay, I'm feeling like nothing's good enough. Well, I just did something that's good enough. So now you can shut up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the way that it is. That's the way that I handle some of those things. But yeah, I don't think that should be looked at as weak. If anything, it should be looked at as being strong. I feel like it's more weak to not have the courage to face the things that go on in your mind. Because I don't know, maybe, I mean, some people don't deal with that stuff. I've noticed through life, like some people just don't, I don't know, they don't have anxieties. They don't have negative thoughts, which is, man, that's great. Like I wish everybody was like that. I wish I was like that. Every day of my life, I wish I was like that. I wish I didn't have these thoughts, but I do, and so I'm starting to think like maybe it's like genetic. It could be genetic. It could be, I don't know, maybe just my childhood and things like that. I don't know. I mean, I really think that it could be genetic though. Like I think everybody has issues with their childhood, and nobody ever has like the perfect childhood, and we can always grow resentment towards things that we grew up with. So I don't think that that's really it. I think that people can be genetically like just more positive. Like the same way that people have like blue eyes and brown eyes, and people have black hair and brown hair and blonde hair and red hair. I think that some of it has to play. Like, I think that you're born with like a certain baseline level of like negativity and positivity, right? And then from there, yeah, you can, like, if you're really, really negative person, you can address issues and you can work on your mental health and talk about things and try to improve it. And you can make an improvement. But I feel like there are definitely other people where they start off at a higher level of happiness already. Like, they already start off with a high level of positivity, so they don't have to work so hard. They don't have to work so hard to be positive, and they don't have to fight those negative thoughts, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Just like there's nothing wrong with people with blue eyes and brown eyes, there's nothing wrong with people that are genetically predisposed to being more negative than positive or more positive than negative. It's just know where you're at on the spectrum. Know where you're at. Like, okay, I naturally tend to be a little bit more negative. So what do I need to do to combat that? What do I need to do to make myself feel more positive? What do I need to do to give myself more satisfaction in myself? Right? Those are just things. And some of those tools for me, like I said, that's why exercising is so beneficial for my mental health. Because it's always an accomplishment that you can achieve. Like, there's always an accomplishment. There's always something that you can set out and say, okay, I'm going to do this. And it's going to be very difficult, but I'm going to push through. And when the pain is there, I'm going to keep fighting. And I'm going to get through it. And then when you get through it, you're like, I just did it, right? Like, that was difficult. That was something difficult. I just did it. And it kind of gives you like that boost. It gives you that confidence and that strength. And then the next workout, same thing. You identify a hard workout, you do it, you realize like those periods where you feel like giving up, because if it's a hard workout, you're gonna want to give up. I mean, that's kind of the definition of a hard workout, right? It's gonna get hard. You're gonna want to give up. You're gonna want to quit. You're gonna want to cut it short. But if you push through, if you persevere, and you push through and you complete it all the way to the finish, then you've accomplished something difficult. And that gives you that mental strength. It just gives you points in your head to like, okay, I scored, I won. So then the next thing that you do, it could be dealing with a family member, or dealing with work, or dealing with life stress, whatever, in whatever form it may be. You have more strength. You have more power to be able to face them. This is why, like, for me personally, I like to set out hard things to do. Like, I can never be in a position where I'm like, where things are just level and neutral. Like, I always need some form of excitement, some form of like difficulty or challenge to make me feel normal and to make me feel calm. And I mean, that may be good or bad. I don't know. I mean, I would like to be, I guess, calm in calm situations. I would prefer that for sure, but it's just not the way that my brain works thus far. I haven't been able to get it like that. But when I'm stressed, when there's like real problems ahead of me, like real problems, right? That's the difference. Is like, when there's real problems, I'm calm, I'm cool, I'm collected. Like, I can deal with that stuff, because it's like, it gives me something to face. It's like an exercise. It gives me, okay, identified what's the problem, what I need to do to overcome it, and then you attack it, and you do it like that. You go for the win like that. And when there's no problems, I create problems. When there's no real problems, my mind creates problems. So then when I'm not actually doing something difficult, my mind will be like, oh, well, look, you didn't, do this good enough. Like, oh, your clothes doesn't look right, or, oh, your shoes are dirty, or you look like shit, like, and I know these things sound stupid, but they're real thoughts. Like, it has to do with looks. It has to do with like intelligence. If I forget something, then automatically my mind is like, wow, you're an idiot. And then I just start putting myself down. If I can't, like, if I don't, if I feel like I'm not being creative, I put myself down. And instead of saying like, oh, I'm not being creative in this moment, my mind tells me, you're not a creative person. You're never going to be creative. You're never going to be successful. You're never going to win at anything, because you need to be creative. You need to do this. You need to do that. And you can't do it because you're a loser. You can't think right. You don't have the good memory. All this stuff. Like, my mind just starts compiling bad, negative thoughts, right? But when I have real issues ahead of me, I don't even, that stuff doesn't even come to mind. I never even think about like any of that stuff because I'm too focused on overcoming that challenge, that difficulty ahead of me. And it could be whatever. I mean, this is just real general stuff. Like it can be in education, it could be in, parenting, it could be in, whatever it is, whatever aspect of life, work, anything like that, a project at home or a project, on, one of these videos, like something where I'm trying to create something and there's a challenge that distracts me. And it just like working out, when it gets difficult, if I give up and I give in to the difficulties, then it beats me up. It puts me down. But on the other hand, if I persevere through the difficulties and if I accomplish whatever that difficult task is that I want to accomplish, then I feel good. Like it's, it goes both ways. Like if you start something difficult and you stop, you're going to lose respect for yourself. But if you start something difficult and you continue, you persevere through the difficulties and you fight to the end and you accomplish it, you're going to gain respect for yourself. So that voice in your head that's telling you like you're not good enough, you're basically going to prove it irrelevant. You're going to prove like, okay, look, you're trying to tell me that I'm not good enough. Well, look what I just did. And then you become undeniable, right? And I know it sounds kind of crazy because it seems like you're dealing with another person, but sometimes, honestly, that's what I do feel like. I feel like sometimes my mind is like another person, right? And I've read books and stuff like that. I've read books on like, your ego and your super ego and stuff like that. And that's the way that I like to address it. It's just the voices, right? Like I do believe that it's your ego, and your ego is it's an entirely different person. It's a person created through your experiences. And for me personally, my ego is like it's just fear. Like it's a person created based solely off of all the fears that I have in life. So why would I listen to that person? Right? If you just think about the negative thoughts, the way that I like to think about it when it comes to negativity and these things in my head, the way that I feel comfortable with myself after having these thoughts is I'd say that I look at it like it's not me. It's literally a different person in my head trying to put me down. And I don't mean that like in a crazy way. I know it sounds kind of crazy, right? Like having another person in your head, but it makes sense, like, because it's your ego. It really is. It's a different person. It's a different thing. It's something that is created that I choose to not associate with. Right. And that helps. It helps me. I mean, when you look at it that way, you don't take responsibility for the thoughts that you have. Right. So like if these negative thoughts come to mind, don't associate with them. Don't take responsibility that you're the one saying them, that you're the one thinking them, right? Just think of it as like it's an outside force. It's an outside factor that's trying to put these negative thoughts and plant them in my head, and don't let it win. Don't let those negative thoughts win. Don't let that other person win. You wouldn't let somebody come into your house, right, and just start bashing on you and tell you that you're not doing good enough and you're not worthy and you're not smart and you're not good looking, right? Like you wouldn't let somebody come into your house doing that. So don't let those thoughts come into your head and do that same thing. You have to combat them. You have to fight back. And that's there's multiple ways, man. There's endless ways. There's endless methods of doing this. These are just some of the things that, some of the ways that I like to combat them. So that kind of leads me to my next discussion that I wanted to bring up. And it's not really a discussion that I have like a point to make. It's just a discussion that I have to like kind of bring up to incite thoughts and opinions, I guess, because I don't even know what my opinion is on it, but I've always been interested in this. And it's kind of related to what I was just talking about with as far as like achieving things and like always looking for things to accomplish. But mental limitations that people put on themselves, right? So like I know people who reach a certain level in their life where they're comfortable, where they have a job, they have their kids, they have their family, they have a house, and they're able to comfortably live. They're not hungry, they're clothed, they have all the essentials, and they're fine with that. Like they never look to achieve the next level. Like they never look to achieve the next accomplishment, the next goal. They don't have ambitions of moving up in their job, and they don't have ambitions of, starting a business or making more money. They kind of just settle there. And once again, like I don't mean this like to offend anybody. I don't even have an opinion directly on this yet. Like I don't have a fully formed opinion on it. It's just something that's always been interesting to me, because then you have other people who, no matter how much money they make, no matter what position they have at their job, no matter how big their house, no matter how nice their car, they are never satisfied. And they're always thinking about the next thing. What's next? What am I going to do next? What job am I going to get next? What raise? Like when's my next raise? What's the next position in my company that I can move up in? If you start a business, how can I grow my business? How can I make more money? How can I buy a nicer car, a bigger house? It's just that constant growth that they're always chasing, and I've always found it interesting, because I can't identify what it is. Like I can't identify what it is about people. Like the one thing that I think it is, or the one thing that I've observed, the only difference is like the belief in the people themselves. Like for some reason, the people, at least in my opinion, what I've noticed is that the people who don't try to constantly move up and look to the next step and look to the next job or more money or next accomplishment, most of the time it's because they don't believe that they can attain it. They don't believe that they can achieve whatever it is that they want to achieve. And the people that do it, they believe it. Like it has nothing to do with intelligence or resources or anything like that. It never does. It always has to do with the pure matter. It always just has to do with the fact that one person believes that they deserve more, that they can achieve more, and the other person doesn't. The other person doesn't believe that they can achieve it for whatever reason. And I find it so crazy that that's the small factor. Like it's one simple thing. Just belief in themselves. All you have to do is believe like that you deserve a bigger house, that you deserve more cars, the nicer cars, you deserve your dream car. Your family deserves, an RV or a vacation home or a boat or whatever. I mean, whatever it may be. And it may seem like I'm talking about just material things, but I'm not. I mean, I guess I am, but I'm also not. I don't know. I guess for me, material things, I do like nice things. I'm not going to lie, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting nice things. I've always just been drawn to nice things. Like I like luxurious things, so I like to work hard for those things. But I also like freedom. So if I have money, I don't want to go to like a restaurant and have to tell my kids like, hey, we can't eat this because we don't have enough money. I've been fortunate, and I take advantage of my situation. I'm not gonna lie. I do like nice things, but I do work hard for it, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I think that there's like been this like stigma as of like, especially like people around my age, like for some reason when people make money, they become like the enemy, and they become like the villain, and they only have bad intentions, and because they made money they had to do it the wrong way. Like I just don't see it that way. I don't think that you have to, like if you have money, I don't think that it's because, or I don't think that it's always because you don't have a healthy relationship with materials, and you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself or whatever. Like isn't that the goal anyways? Like when we're children, right, we're taught to want better lives from our parents. We're taught to not struggle the same way that our parents did, right? So if we grow up and we make more money, Isn't that kind of like accomplishing that? We live in a world where money maybe doesn't buy happiness, but it can buy freedom. And freedom, in my opinion, is happiness. You know, the freedom to do what you want, the freedom to buy what you want, the freedom to, have things that you enjoy, to have things that give you happiness. And I mean, look, if things don't give you happiness, then disregard that. But I still think that making money and accomplishing more and more and achieving more can still provide more happiness than to just settle, right? To just sit in a job and say, okay, you know, this job is going to give me a good enough retirement. I don't need to make any more money. I'm fine. You know, I'm fine here. And even then, when you're retired, like I don't ever see myself as a 60, 70, 80-year-old man. I don't ever see myself saying, you know what, this is it for me. I'm good. I'm just going to coast through life. Like I can never picture myself saying that. You know, I can never picture myself. If anything, I don't think that there's enough time in my life to be able to accomplish all the things that I want to accomplish. And I mean, I don't know. That's just me. Like I said, I don't have an opinion fully formed on why people have these different approaches to life, because I know really good people. I know really good people that are satisfied with what they do. They're satisfied with what they're at. You know, they're the people that don't necessarily look for the next goal. They don't look for the next, raise, the pay raise or better job or anything like that. Like, they're not looking for that stuff. And they're great people. Like, I love them. I love those people. And then I also have people that are ambitious and they're always looking for that next step and always trying to overcome things and succeeding at new things. And I love them too. So don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not identifying any group as any better than the other group. I'm just simply saying, like, it's an interesting thing to me. It's an interesting idea to me that there are people that kind of fall in, generally within those two categories. It's most people are either one or the other. They're very ambitious and they want to achieve more, or they're not very ambitious and they have this point where they just, they reach that point and then that's it for them. They're satisfied. They're good. And that's cool too. I mean, maybe, when I'm looking at it, if I'm being completely open with myself, maybe it's better. It could be better, especially for me, considering the way that I think, like how I'm always anxious and I'm never satisfied with myself. Maybe it would be better to be able to say, like, oh, you know what? I'm just happy where I'm at. I'm comfortable. I'm fine. Maybe. I'm not too sure yet. I haven't really figured that out yet. But for now, I just naturally, I find it more appealing to me to be that person that is always looking for the next thing. And it's always like, it's not just like money. It's everything. Like education, skills, relationships. Like, I'm always trying to improve upon everything. Like, if I'm in school, I want to improve on the things that I'm learning. If I'm, making videos is something that, like, every video that I do, I want to improve. I want to provide better content for you guys. I want to be able to help you guys and formulate my thoughts and opinions in a way that's going to help you. And every video, I analyze everything that I say and everything that I do and the way that it looks and the way that it's presented and all this stuff, and because I want to get better at it. And that's just with everything in life. I just want to get better. I want to get better at understanding people. I want to get better at understanding myself, understanding life, things like that. So it's not always about money. It's definitely not always about money. It's just money's a big factor in our life. We can't deny that. We can't, like, to be blind. I mean, people may not agree with the way that life is right now and the way our system is set up and everything like that, and how money is pretty much the center focus around everything. I mean, you can not like it, but complaining about it and not taking advantage of the system and how it is and using it to your advantage, to better your family, to better your life, I don't think that's the right approach either. You can't just complain about it and say, like, oh, I wish that money didn't control everything. Well, I mean, if you're going to do that, then don't cry about not being able to live the life that you want to live, You just got to accept reality for what it is. So yeah, to summarize, pretty much just don't look at talking about mental health. Don't look at talking about the way that you feel as such a weakness. Be more confident and comfortable, or become more confident and comfortable in talking about it. And it doesn't have to be on social media. Like, the only reason I do it on social media is because that's how I just want to reach people, like that's how I choose to reach people. But if that means just talking to your friends and your family or anybody, about it more, if that's what opening up and facing your thoughts means, well, then do that. Talk to your friends, your neighbor, your family, whoever, somebody you trust. Just talk to them. And don't think that it makes you weak to talk about the way that you feel. And don't think that, like I said, don't associate yourself with the thoughts that you have. Sometimes you're going to have crazy thoughts. We all have crazy thoughts. Just out of this world thoughts. Does not mean that you are the one responsible for them. Doesn't mean that you have to associate yourself with them. And another thing, I know on my Instagram and social media, I talk about being nice, right? And I wanted to kind of address what that means for me. So being nice does not mean being weak. I feel like certain people, they like, being nice means being like a pushover, being weak and letting people run over you and letting people say mean things to you. Like, that's not what being nice means. Being nice, it has very different forms. Like, being nice to each other means be understanding. Be understanding of where people come from. Being nice to yourself means respecting yourself. Taking care of your body, taking care of your mind. Being nice to yourself also means not allowing people to talk to you like that, right? Not allowing people to bully you, not allowing people to push you over, not allowing people to take advantage of you. That's being nice. Being nice sometimes means you have to beat somebody's ass, right? Like, if somebody is harming your family, if somebody is posing a real physical threat to your family, being nice to your family means beating that person's ass sometimes, right? Like, the being nice, it has, for me, it means so many different things, but it doesn't mean weak. Being nice does not mean being weak. Be nice means thinking about the community, thinking about the society that we live in, and thinking about how we can provide a benefit to that society, to the community, to our family, to our friends. And a lot of that has to do with how you treat yourself, being nice to yourself so that you can provide a better version of yourself to the world. That's what being nice means. So, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I know it sounds corny, but please, if you do like the stuff that I'm saying in this video, please like it. Please share it. I just want to get my thoughts out there to hopefully help people. And ultimately, I want to have conversations with people regarding these type of topics. So please like the video, share it, let people know that I have this thing going on, and just get more comfortable with it. We got to get more comfortable with talking about mental health. It's a problem that can be addressed, and it could be a positive thing. Again, thank you for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one.